Hello everyone, welcome back to our last video of the transfer window. We got all of the important European transfers up on the board. Divided this up. I kept the lines up this time. I erased the lines for the North American one, but I feel like it divided up pretty well and I was able to just trace over the parts where I kind of erased it when I was drawing stuff. But yeah, I've got 8 teams sticking together and 10 teams on the board. So there's obviously more than 16 teams here that we're going to talk about, which means Europe is low-key pretty stacked, but it's also a little bit of an effect of people who split up who got points going elsewhere. So this is what we got to work with. Also stick around at the end of the video because I've got a board that talks about a last-minute North American change, some of the MENA changes we saw in the offseason, as well as some of the last-second APAC movers. So that was just a video that was like 4 minutes that I didn't get out before, so I'm tacking it on to the end of this one. But without further ado, let's get into the European transfer news. The teams that are sticking together, your expected teams, all the land teams, K-Corp, Vitality, GK, Dignitas. The team that barely missed land, Ninja Pajamas, also sticking together. 100% sticking together. Won I think a couple small European off-season or transfer window events sticking together. So didn't really even hesitate to stay. JJ Rocks, Spanish roster, marked by 8, Rixie, Steak, or Rye, probably. I keep saying that wrong, but they're sticking together. And then Novo, the fully Italian squad, sticking together as well. So those are teams that have earned points that are sticking together in Europe. Let's get into the moves. Gentlemates. I can draw, I promise, guys. Seiko, Juicy, and now it's Eugen coming in for Radosin. You won't see Radosin anywhere else on this board. Kind of assume he's still under contract with Mates, if I had to guess. But they have brought in Eugen in his place. Eugen coming over from Start Point. Obviously, he's still coached by Eversax. The next one on the board, Team BDS. Excited for this one. Obviously, no pink in this line because Team BDS was not in the scene. And I wanted to keep the colors kind of lined up with where they came from. Nico and Juke, 2/3 of Ascend. So these guys are still sitting on the 7 points, I think it is, that they earned in Split 1. So Nico and Juke, the duo there. And then you've got the Save the Game duo of Mutzer and Extra. No, this is not a 4-man roster. Extra is moving into the coaching role. So excited to see Extra back coaching under Team BDS. Well, technically this is his first official head coaching stint, but super excited for this squad. Synergy. Next team over there, they got 4 points. These go in points order this way to this way. But Synergy's got HG Dorito, and then Tekos went over to APAC. I'll talk about that later. Spoilers, I guess. Technically, I already recorded that, but whatever. HG Dorito, and now they got Rizex from RRG. As you'll notice as we get through the rest of this, RRG has fully split up, so they aren't sitting on the few points that they earned. But Betao is coming over to coach from RRG. He was coaching them last split. Now he's coaching the Synergy squad. Fast forward, they've got 2 points, I believe, and they've got a very, very, very difficult logo to draw. That brought me some pain. There's a lot of detail that I'm missing there, but I feel like I did not the worst job, all things considered. Please don't roast me in the comments. Mike Boy and Edgeby sticking together. I think at first it sounded like they were splitting up and exploring options, but they've kept their 2 points by sticking together, and now they're picking up Growly from Caliente. Similar to RRG, looks like all of Caliente has split up. You're going to notice that trend because Start Point would be on here by now as well, and they have all split up. So in terms of teams that have fully gone their separate ways from the points that they have earned, we have Start Point, Save the Game, RRG, Caliente. Europe's Europing. Knobster, Jelly and Shark running it back. Reb Mob got grounded mid-split, I think was the word on the street. But they're picking up Yukio, who is coming over from Moonrise in South America. So Yukio in the transfer window stated his intention of going back to Europe, but due to the rules, he needed to join a team with points. Knobster sitting on 1 point from that event that they qualified to. I think it was the second open. Jelly and Shark, currently the 2/3 duo that shares the point. They pick up Yukio. He's able to play the split. Super cool to see. Excited to see what they can do. Sick made at least one main event. I think it was just one. They're below Knobster, so I think it is one. They made open 3. But they made it with J-Wets, Beastie, and Uncle Bill. Uncle Bill has this habit of coaching and then suddenly saying, nah, I'm playing this time, and then making the main event when none of the teams he coaches can actually get to the main event. I don't know what's up with that, but he's not on the squad anymore. Instead, they got Wozian, who is coming from BitFit or Bixfit. It looks like it's a Norwegian org. I think that's Norwegian. Maybe I'm just dumb. Maybe it's too... What time is it? It's 11 o'clock. I need to go to bed. I'll throw some stuff in editing if I remember to do that. But Wozian coming in from a Norwegian org. I think it's Bitfix. But he's joining that sick duo. They still have the 1 point. Everyone down here, brand new teams, not sitting on any points, which is kind of unsimilar to North America. There's only like 1 or 2 teams that were just fresh off the rack that didn't have any points saved. Maybe there was 3 because Tech broke up by the end of things. But I got 4 teams on here because I feel like 4 teams are pretty important to talk about. The Smoky Bacon Association. None of these teams have logos yet. That's why they're not drawn. I'm excited to see the logo for the Smoky Bacon Association. So really hope these guys make top 8 just so I can see whatever logo they cook up. You got Smokes coming in from Redemption and Matean coming in from Start Point. You've got Compact coming in from Fast Forward. And then Andy the Mandy following Smokes from Redemption. So I guess if you can say they kept a core, it's the Redemption core. Cash went a separate way. Toxic went to Mina. Again, spoilers for later. But Andy the Mandy, Smokes, Matean from that Start Point roster that made top 6 once and top 8 another time. Compact from this Fast Forward squad. So Money ATM, I think that's how you would say it. I don't really know. Acronic coming in from Start Point, obviously worth a mention. Acronic's a big name. He was on Team Liquid a couple years ago, so definitely worth highlighting him. Tempo coming over from Wild, and Matt coming over from Ascend. They also keep Coach Blau from Ascend, so I guess this is the other half of the Ascend group from last split. But Matt, Tempo, Acronic representing ATM, or calling themselves ATM for the next split, or Money ATM. I don't know. We'll find out on broadcast day, I'm sure. Dopamine, no coach for these guys, but it's kind of a salty run back kind of squad. I feel like these guys always end up together when all the other team options have fallen through. That is KDOP coming over from Caliente, Astral coming over from Save the Game, and Reese Fox coming over from RRG. I don't think I've seen this exact iteration of this roster before, but it feels very much like a roster that Solary ran out back in the day. I know both KDOP and Astral were on Solary at the same point. I think it was Astral who came in to replace Reese Fox, though, and Chaussette was on Solary the entire time. So it feels like a roster of players that have all played in similar teams, but not together before. But that's your Dopamine squad. And then last but not least, No Mercy. Definitely had to have these guys on here because there's a lot of hype around this kid, Rust Easy 95, coming over from Seleção. Early in the transfer window, he announced he was teaming up with Mozzarella, and they were looking for one. That's one of the duos that was announced early in a transfer window or offseason that actually stuck together the entire time. Apparently, that's a foreign concept these days. But Rusteezy, Mozzarella teaming up. They pick up Pisky, who was also known as Whiskey Drink back in the day. Was a touted prospect, but I really haven't seen the results come through from that. But he comes over from Super Team. So Mozzarella and Pisky, I don't believe have made a main event this year. Rusteezy has made one. Cash's new team with Pluvo and Grandma could also be on here, to be honest, as well. But figured a lot of hype with Rusteezy. They're on here. Oh, yeah. I guess I never mentioned that anywhere. Cash didn't retire. Cash retired and then said, nah, I'm running it back. So he's teaming with, I literally just said it, Pluvo and Grandma. So look out for them as well. 19 teams in Europe. Jeez, Europe just doesn't calm down. So, yeah. In terms of No Mercy, they've got Econ from Caliente as well. Please no Cobra Kai spoilers because I still haven't seen Season 6. I still got to get around to that. But Andor Season 2 comes out later today, I guess. And that's going to be my priority for the next month. But, yeah, that's Europe. I've got one more board for the offseason. We're going to switch right over to that now. All right, and one last quick board before the transfer window wraps up. This is, I know, 2 whiteboards, 1 video, but I didn't want to make a whole new video with just this news. It was like 4 minutes when I recorded it earlier. I might as well send it. So, if you haven't been paying attention to the North American Swiss, there's one team that I do have to talk about that signed up at the deadline. I mentioned that Com and Talk weren't signed up for Open 4 and that they were taking the split off. That's the risk of uploading a video 7 hours before the transfer window ends. 3 hours before, Talk said, hey, me and Seamus are looking for one. Reconsidered, want to still play the split. They pick up Tricky at the last hour. So that's your trio. They made it to the main event. They're going up against Ultimates in the first round of the group stage on Friday. So Talk, Seamus, Tricky, not the worst squad in the world. Clearly have potential to at least make top 16. Mina's biggest movers. I'd say there were about 3 pretty big moves when it comes to Mina RLCS. Not at the top 2, not with Rock, but Team Vision, which was kind of a team rated around Mina 3, had Massam Talm. This was 2/3 of the MTS roster. They had Suspect last split. They have SMW now. So SMW took a split off. Now he has joined Team Vision, or well, joined MTS, if you will, who got signed by Team Vision. So they're like 4th or 3rd in points. probably power ranked around 3rd. Still a solid squad. I don't think they're swinging up into land spots, but definitely a team that is at least being looked out for in MENA competition. Along with that, another team that was around there was the BOV roster with Basel, Ops, and Venom. They've decided to drop Ops and pick up Suspect, who comes over from that MTS squad. I'm not sure exactly where Ops is going now at this point. He didn't really land on a top 8 MENA team. Maybe he did it by the end of it, but in terms of teams that are established that I noticed, it didn't look like he was on a team that I have seen super frequently, so I don't have Ops in his landing spot on this board, to be honest. But BOV, no longer BOV. They have Suspect now. I'm not sure what team name they're under, unfortunately. And then the last one is RLCS, which I know was a big hot topic because this was 2/3 of the Team Rock last year roster of, that was Dr. Known, Ops, and Nush. They dropped Ops for Tox during the offseason, and so it was Dr. Known, Nush, and Tox for the first split. Now they have dropped Nush for Toxic. So 2/3 Europe, still Dr. Known from Mina, Tox and Toxic, which will surely be confusing for a lot of casters, but that's your new RLCS roster. Moving over to APAC as our last region that we're going to be talking about. 2 big pieces of news here. The Elevate trio of Tho, Ocelon, and Maxiu, they were all released from the organization, so Elevate's not in the scene anymore as of now. And Tho and Ocelon decided to drop Maxiu, and they have picked up Tekhoz. So Tekhoz comes over from Synergy. He was with Dorito and AJG in Europe last split. Now he has joined Tho and Ocelon. This now makes them a fully EU import team. Maxiu, while technically from Ireland, has played his whole career in APAC, so he was definitely an APAC player. But now with Maxiu gone, Tho, Ocelon, Tekhoz, all European players playing in APAC. Could be a roster move that's good enough to elevate them onto the Luminosity tier, maybe above Luminosity, to be honest. Tekhoz is a really solid player when he's playing at the top of his level. But yeah, I think Tekhoz also tweeted a signing GIF, so we'll see if that amounts to anything. But as of the time I'm recording this, haven't heard anything about if that team is going to be signed or not. And then in response, earlier in the transfer window, Homie, which is the coach of Kinotrope, announced that Lunatic was stepping away from the game. And so that left the roster spot on Kinotrope open. Kinotrope is Realize and Furlash. Fully Japanese team before. They got a lot of the influx of viewership when it came to RLCS views from that big boom of Rocket League in Japan. They've picked up Maxiu in his place. I think this is a great upgrade for them as well. Maxiu obviously being on that Elevate roster that was clearly APAC 2 seed last split. Keeps the roster native APAC as well. As I was mentioning, Maxiu does have the Irish flag next to his name on Wikipedia, but he has played his whole career here in APAC. So I think that's a really solid pickup where you still keep the native APAC talent and honestly get a really solid player back on the team. So Realize, Maxiu, Furlash, I hope they're APAC 3, and I hope they can swing up into some finals, but it's going to be very difficult considering the competition. With that being said, that wraps everything up for the transfer window. Thank you all for watching. Plenty more videos to come. I got North American predictions coming out tomorrow, hopefully, so be on the lookout for that, and I'll catch you guys next time.